Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show here on STV. The main talking points on tonight's programme. Moussa Dembele remains at Celtic as they prepare to face Aberdeen. Ian Cathro is adamant 9 signings does not represent an overhaul at Hearts. And the SPFL confirmed the Premiership will continue the winter break next season. So that's the talking points. Alan Ruff and myself, Peter Martin, will be discussing in the company of our boot room guest. I'm delighted to say Hamilton Accies defender Michael Devlin joins us on the programme after a really good win last night. How important was it, Michael, to get such an emphatic victory?
Yeah, it was a massive win for everyone at the club. The gaffer outlined how important it was that firstly, the result was the right thing. You know, we place an onus on the performance. He's been good week to week on the pitch, but you know, it's coming to a point that the results are way more important than how we perform. So no, everyone was delighted last night. It was a performance and a great result that we feel has been coming over the last few weeks and months. So no, we're delighted.
Yeah, psychologically at the end of the game, I mean, when it builds up and the draws stack up and then suddenly you find yourself at the bottom end, what was the manager's message week in, week out?
Very much just trying to give the players confidence all the time. The manager's very, very good at taking things on and, you know, the pressure on himself. He never ever lets that get to the players, and he wants us to continue doing the same things week in, week out. There's not been too much wrong, you know. I think it was a case of getting the second goal and making sure we see games out that's probably been the problem this year. So fortunately last night we managed to get the second goal at a crucial time in the game, and we managed to defend properly throughout the game and limit Inverness to very little. So we've got our goalkeeper to thank, I think, at a crucial time as well, who saved that penalty, and we managed to go in and get the result. So no, it's a case of more of the same. That's the message that's always came from the manager.
Yep, and you've maintained, Ruffy, you know, anyone from 6th down could be in the mix with this one. It could be, I think it could be a story of strikers.
Yeah, I've said all along, you know, obviously Hamilton, and I think we had any Hamilton player we've done has been talking about that 1-0 lead that they've had and not been able to see out the game. And when you're in that circumstance, you either sit and keep what you've got or go forward and then lose a late goal. So as he said there, that second goal gives a lift to everybody, not only the players but the fans as well. And that is the only difference been with Hamilton, is they've not been able to get that second goal. But as you said, that's the same with everybody. That's why we can see that most of the teams that have been in the transfer market have been the teams down the bottom of the league. You know, people getting released and bringing other people in. So I think they all realise now how important it is to go on a wee run. Yeah,
the window itself, a few clubs doing some business that could make an impact. I mean, Inverness managed to get Billy Mackay ahead of Hamilton Accies. I think Martin Canning had already mentioned the fact that they were trying as hard as they could to try and get him as well. But it's that type of player, I think, that could be the difference between a playoff or just straight relegation.
Well, Inverness know the worth of Billy Mackay. You know, he was phenomenal. That's why he got the move to England. But he came back to Dundee United and it never really worked out for him. Whether that was his fault or not remains to be seen. But certainly they'll know that he can score goals. But they need to play a style of football that suits him. You know, they need to play, you know, he's quite very sharp in the box. You know, he reads it very, very quickly. So maybe they have to change their game.
Last night, here are the results from the Premiership. There was a Scottish Cup match as well. So Hamilton with a 3-0 win over Inverness. Up at Dingwall, Ross County won, Motherwell 2, and of course Clyde into the next round of the Scottish Cup to face Ayr United after that win against Stirling Albion. Just touching then on the other match, because suddenly, you know, Ross County, you know, always seem to make more than a few signings, Michael, in the January transfer window, but that's a huge result there for Motherwell. Suddenly Mark McGee's talking about Motherwell looking at top 6.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that just shows how tight the league actually is. You know, with our result last night, it took us to within a point of Motherwell. Had they not won, they win their game and they end up, you know, in the top 6. So it's massive just now for every single team. I think Ross County, from the outside looking in, it looked like they'd recruited very, very well. You know, a lot of top signings over the last month or so. I'm sure they'll kick on. You know, they've got a good manager up there, and I'm sure they'll compete every bit as much as every other team to break into the top 6. I think they had a great season last year with a cup success as well, and I think everybody expected them to kick on. You know, everyone goes through a slight sticky patch, which I think they're maybe doing at the moment. So it's up to the rest of the teams round about to try and capitalise on that. But I would expect them to take him out this and continue to fight on.
Yeah, let's have a look at the table to see how it all stands. Ruffy, what's your take on it? Are you still
Well,
I'm picked Kilmarnock at the start. I'm going to stick with them.
Yeah, well, I'm still looking at Hamilton on 20 points, and I'm looking at Motherwell 4 points ahead. That's a game and a bit. You know, that's no safety at all, particularly when you look at the fixture list and you see what certain teams you've got to play, and everybody will know. Some teams will have an easier fixture list than others, so I think the next 5 or 6 games are really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Motherwell have got some tough games coming up. It'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. As far as the transfer window itself was concerned, Ruffy, I mean, all the speculation about Moussa Dembele, he didn't go in the end.
Yeah, and I think you have to give Brendan Rodgers all the credit for that one. Right from day one, he's told the Celtic supporters he's not going anywhere. He's told them Craig Gordon's not going anywhere, and to his word, the club have bought into what the new manager is trying to build there. And I think that's the encouraging thing, that when they do get the chance to bring players in, these players are still there.
I think, let's be brutal about it, Ruffy, I don't think there was any firm bid at all with regards to Moussa Dembele. I think people are watching him, there's absolutely no doubt about that, but you know, whether somebody's going to pay 40 million, I'm not so sure now. You know, as he develops, maybe.
Yeah, I agree with you. At the moment, we've all saw what he can do, and month on month, when given the chance in big games, he looks better. But I think he needs another European campaign to prove to everybody that he is that 30, 40 million pound player.
Yeah, and of course, Michael, as many a player will tell you, they like playing. They want to play regularly. You've come back from a suspension. You're back in. You want to play regularly. Craig Gordon had that big decision. You know, looking at Chelsea, reported interest, the 2 offers that Celtic received, and suddenly you think, do I want to be a number 2 and maybe not get a kick of the ball, or play at Celtic week in, week out?
Yeah, well, I think he's very fortunate that he's in a position playing at a massive club anyway, and a club who are always going to be successful. But I think from probably Craig's point of view, he's been very unfortunate with injuries and spent a lot of time watching rather than playing. So he's now in a position where he's playing with a terrific club with a massive history, and I don't think you would want to give that up too easy, you know, albeit Chelsea are a great club as well, but there's a big difference between going and sitting on the bench and being content with that as a professional, as opposed to playing week in, week out, winning trophies and winning medals. And I think he's part of a very, very successful team at the moment. I'm sure they'll go on from strength to strength as well.
Yeah, Ruffy, give us your thoughts on Clyde. David Gormley had a hat-trick for them. They got a 3-2 win. They'll now face Ayr United in the next round of the Scottish Cup.
Yeah, I think it's good for teams like Clyde. I think Barry obviously would be wanting to bring some players in. Obviously, budgets again come into that consideration. Last night's game, I think they had a couple of players sent off, you know, which must have been nerve for the end of the game, but certainly it's another tie that he will think that is winnable.
Yeah. Michael, are you a fan of the winter break?
Yeah, I think it was great this year. I felt it gave everybody a chance to kind of freshen up. For ourselves, certainly, it was probably given a run of 11 games without a victory. It was probably nice to put 2016 to bed and focus on the next chapter of the season. So yeah, I think it freshens up everybody. You know, there's a lot of fixtures, a lot of games, cup games if you're still in cup. Celtic have got the Champions League, so I think it's good to go away and get a break. The squad gets together, works hard, and lets you refocus probably for the last part of the season. So no, we thoroughly enjoyed it at Hamilton. We didn't go anywhere too extravagant. You know, other teams are away out to Dubai, and we were staying here in the sunny part of Hamilton.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too extravagant for ourselves, but it certainly worked. It certainly worked for us.
Yeah, Eddlewood's a strange place to go, Ruffy, for a bit of training.
Not the sunshine.
No disrespect to Eddlewood, there's some good places up there. I've been up there, but I might not be going back if I keep this up. Over and above that, Ruffy, I mean, Neil Doncaster did mention the fact that the Championship sides have opted out of it. That might be a financial predicament as well on that one, more than the Premier League clubs can sustain.
Yeah, it gives them a chance. You know, you would like to think that if a team's doing well, the supporters have got nowhere to go, would take a chance in the area and go along and put some coffers into the club. Whether that happens remains to be seen, but no, I think it's good that the football keeps going, and I keep an eye on it obviously when I'm away. who's playing where, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You're one man that has backed the winter break emphatically from a fair distance away. Okay, I know you're milking, and I've got to change who gets a winter break next season. Anyway, we're going to talk more with Michael Devlin on the personal ambitions, of course, at Hamilton Accies, and we'll look to the games tonight, get the thoughts of both lads on their predictions, because there are 3 very tasty games in the Premiership. We're going to hear from Mark Warburton talking about the last time they headed to Tynecastle. We'll also hear from Ian Cathro. 2 wins in 8 for the Hearts boss since he arrived at Tynecastle. He's made 9 signings, and we'll get his thoughts on whether they're better after all those signings coming in. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Alan Ruff is with me, Peter Martin. Michael Devlin, the Hamilton Accies centre-back, is with us here in the studio. Delighted to have Michael with us. Just we were talking about before the break about players coming and going. It must have been a real bonus knowing that Ali Crawford was going to be there, at least until the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Ali's been terrific for us all season, and a massive reason that we're in the position that we're in the sense that we're still part of that chasing pack. Ali's goals have been vital to us. So no, we were delighted. On a personal note, I think we're all desperate he gets the move that I think he deserves and that he's capable of, and getting to that level. But for the time being, from a selfish point of view, I think we're all delighted that he's still at the club. Yeah,
it's a refreshing attitude, Ruffy, because Hamilton has this ethos that, you know, the players speak openly about it. You know, you want to do your best. If you play regularly, if you play well, you get that move.
Yeah, and that, when you're a player at a club and you know that's the philosophy of the club, you know, you buy into it, because not kidding, people do move, you know, and move to big clubs. So why wouldn't you be a young player want to play at Hamilton, knowing that if you do well, you might get that move that you're looking for, and the club's not going to stand in your way. So it's good being at a club like that.
Yeah, Michael, the other aspect of it, which I think you've got to take with a pinch of salt, sometimes footballers have to take and treat, you know, praise and criticism with the same contempt. How do you handle it? You know, there was, I thought maybe too early suggestions, you know, Michael Devlin's ready for a Scotland call-up. Nice praise because you're playing well. I mean, how do you handle it? How do you feel you're playing for Hamilton at the moment?
Yeah, it's always nice to hear, and you always take a compliment when it comes. Certainly, there tends to be more negative publicity aimed at you than compliments, but no, it's always nice to hear. I think I probably agree. At the moment, you're just focusing on playing week in and week out and trying to do as well as you possibly can. Whether that comes or not further down the line, then I'll just have to wait and see. Time will tell with that kind of thing. But no, there's defensively, you know, with Scotland now, there's still, I hear a lot of, you know, kind of criticism getting levelled at the team. There's still top players playing, you know, with Scotland defensively, you know, and you've got to take inspiration from a guy like Callum Patterson, who's come in, who's playing in the Premier League up here and come in and really kind of done well, I think, with an international setup. So whenever you see guys like that coming in and doing well, you know, it gives you motivation to keep working hard at your game and keep trying to improve. You know, personally this season I think it's been okay. I think I've done okay. I can always do better. And you'll just keep having to work hard, and fortunately I've got a top centre back as a manager who can kind of help, you know, guide my game and help progress me. And if that gets to a certain level that the international manager feels that you're capable for a call-up, then great. But I'll just keep plodding on as so at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bar for you to go for. I mean, it's great. I mean, can you imagine pulling on the dark blue jersey? It would be superb.
Yes, I think it's every young player's dream, you know, every Scottish player's dream to get picked for their national side. So, no, it would be absolutely fantastic and a really proud moment for myself and my family if that was to happen. But as I say, that's not getting carried away at the moment, you know. But at the moment, Hamilton have a relegation battle. I'm part of that, and I'm the captain of the team, so it's up to me to keep fully focused on that and make sure that the club stays in the division and pushes on and fulfils the kind of potential that we as a squad think we've got. So that's the priority at the moment. It's a priority for all the players at the club, and I don't think anyone should get too carried away over and above that. Yeah,
well, let's hope you do achieve that. At least, hopefully, one of us will be there to see it. Coach Ruffy out to a game.
Oh, it's an international game, I'll go.
Oh, that's okay then, that's fine.
Especially if he's playing.
Yeah.
I'm making the effort.
That's good. Let's see if we can get some freebie tickets, Ruffy.
And if he doesn't, I can give him one of my jerseys. If he really wants to do that.
Yeah. The last thing Michael needs is a baggy Scotland top. Okay, let's crack on with the games tonight. Here are the fixtures that we can look forward to. Certainly some really good games. I'm hopefully going to hightail it to see exactly what Aberdeen are going to offer, whether they are the team that can stop Celtic in their tracks on this run. Now that they're talking about Ruffy, they've now come up with another one, which is to see if they can stretch this record, way past what Martin O'Neill achieved in 2003, 2004.
Yeah, and it's always been the turn of the year where there has been some kind of record to get, whether it's a shutout record or a winning record, and it's always good, and that will keep the fans on board. I just, not particularly worried, I don't think worry's the right word, but I've been with no Dembele and no Griffiths. Obviously, wee boy Roberts was playing up front. I think Aberdeen might fancy their chances. I think Aberdeen are beginning to look back to where they were. I think they'll go there with a lot of confidence, and we saw, obviously, Celtic turning over Hearts, but I think Aberdeen will be a different proposition.
Yeah, I think it was vital that they kept a hold of Johnny Hayes. I think, the evidence of watching him that night against Hamilton Accies, when he was off the boil, Aberdeen didn't look, a real threat. I think he's the key to them.
Yeah, I think so. He's a crucial player for Aberdeen, and on his day, he's as good as there is in the league. I think along with Niall McGinn, when Niall McGinn's playing, kind of at the top of his game, they're very, very difficult to hold back Aberdeen going forward. And with that, they've got a guy up front who's capable of scoring a lot of goals in the Premier League, in Adam Rooney. So, they're formidable going forward, and when they two guys are on their game, but in particular Johnny Hayes, I think is a handful for any defender in the Premier League.
Yeah, okay. In the other match at Tynecastle, it's Hearts against Rangers. Of course, a lot of focus on Ian Cathro. He's just bedding himself in, making more than a few signings, 9 now in at Tynecastle, and quite a lot of people are suggesting this is an overhaul. The Hearts manager's having none of it.
We're in a stronger position with the balance of our group, with the options that we have. Therefore, that in itself is a more comfortable challenge, because it's one which we're more fitted for. Without having done the work that we've done and having made the additions that we've had, we would be in a weaker position. So we have strengthened, we've become stronger. We've got more people, we've got more quality, we've got more experience. With that, we have more fight. So we have to be better.
Well, the proof is in the pudding, Ruffy. They've bought more than a few players.
Yeah, he's come in, he's identified certain players who he doesn't think can play to his system. But as we all know, Hearts were sitting in second place before he came there. So he really, the bottom line is he needs to win games. He has to rely on these new players to come in and to start winning games, and big games, and tonight is a big game. These are the kind of games that let the supporters buy into what you're doing. If you continually lose these games, particularly with big games coming up, obviously the Hibs game coming up as well, you've got to have the supporters behind you, and that's what he needs at this precise moment in time.
Yep, and of course it's a Rangers side. Mark Warburton added Jack Alnwick, the goalkeeper from Port Vale, on a £250,000 deal. No late signings for the Rangers manager, but of course they go into this game looking back on the last time the two sides met. Robbie Neilson was in charge, as Ruffy mentioned, and Hearts came away with a 2-0 victory, and I think the manager of Rangers was keen to point out the reaction he got from his players after that defeat.
At the office, I keep being asked this question by next door as well, that we had a bad day. We said straight away, no excuses. We had a bad day at the office. The important thing was how we responded, and we responded outstandingly well. Beating Aberdeen, beating Hearts, etc., and very good performances and a good run of games. So today we go into the game, or tomorrow we go into the game on the back of a very good performance actually. Second half especially, I thought we were very good. And as I say, we've got to take that belief into the game, recognise the challenge that we face, but deliver the performance. Simple as that. When we're getting towards the second half, or the busiest end of the season, as they call it, and we have to be in pole position to keep on pushing.
Could be a big night for Rangers. They're 2 points ahead of Aberdeen at the moment, Michael, but 6 wins out of 8 after that defeat to Hearts. So he clearly got a really positive response from his players.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched that game that night and I was disappointed in Rangers. I thought Hearts were excellent. So I think even forgetting their kind of form since then. I think the Rangers players and the club will feel they've got a wee point to prove, and you know, and the kind of all Hearts one. So certainly I think all the players will be fired up, and the fact that they're in form at the moment as well, that obviously helps things. So no, they've really kicked on, and I've been impressed with Rangers, and they've had a lot of good results and kind of shown good character and good resolve since then.
Yeah, the last game, Robbie Partick against St Johnstone, is an interesting one. If you're talking about how important wins could be, the last thing they want is a draw here. This could be a big one for Thistle as well. Yeah,
I spoke about it earlier. You know, any 3 points at all can take you to anywhere away from the bottom. There's a bonus, and with your home advantage, you would want to win these games because you'll have a lot of hard ones coming up. So yeah, 3 points for both clubs. I mean, particularly St Johnstone, who could, if results go their way, could move into a bigger place.
Yep. Okay. Give us your thoughts then. Partick, St Johnstone, briefly.
2-1 Partick.
Oh, there you are, and the scoreline, Michael.
I'll say a draw.
A draw for that
Score
one.
draw.
I think there's a wee bit of jiggery pokery going on when you're hoping for a draw. Go on then. Rangers against Hearts at Tynecastle.
Rangers 2-1.
I'll say a 1 each draw.
Okay. Celtic Aberdeen.
1 each.
Celtic win.
Celtic to win. Okay, there you are. Always looks good in the 7 o'clock programme. By the time you get to the repeat, you're going, ha ha, Robbie, can't believe you said that. Anyway, thank you very much to Michael Devlin for joining us here, and good luck for the rest of the season from Ruffy and myself. Join us on the show tomorrow at 7 if you can. Good night.